Go live. And you should be good, sir.
All right, guys. So we'll start with quickly on the volume profile. I'm not going to go through all the slides that we did previously. I just want to touch base on some of them. If you're new to the Discord, basically there's a PowerPoint that I put together with various resources, some of it from my experience as well, where I kind of explain what is volume profile and what is the best way to use it. And it's kind of now like a living document. I'm trying to put all I know, some kind of order that would make sense for you guys. And if you guys feel like it's not flowing well or you're confused, just provide some feedback on the message, and then it will help me the best way to teach you guys on how to approach it, actually how to teach you guys, because not everybody learns the same way, right? So what is volume profile? You guys are probably familiar with the vertical volumes, which basically measure how many shares were traded at the time of the day. Horizontal lines tell us how much volume was traded on the level that you're on right now. So the higher the horizontal lines, the shelves, the more volume was traded. So it usually means accumulation. It can mean a lot of buying, a lot of selling. So usually those type of shelves don't get created by retail traders. That means a lot of times institutional traders are in the play. And if anyone on a call, if all of you guys are comfortable with this, let me know, and then we can skip through this. Is there anyone that needs a refresher on this? And it's okay if you say yes. I don't mind doing it. Somebody answer. Does anyone need a refresher on this? On volume profile overall.
Yeah, can you touch on it briefly?
Yep. All right, we'll keep going. So, and then people confuse themselves, when you start researching more, hopefully, it kind of sparks you to look into it and research and then read the book by Dale on volume profile. Don't confuse this with the market profile. Market profile is totally different. I would say volume profile is more accurate in terms of, levels. Market profile is also accurate, but, it's concerned with the time. How much time did the price spend at a level? When you think about it, if the price is being accumulated at the level, well, that means it spent a lot of time there. So, I'd rather, focus on the volume and the price action rather than the time being spent at a level. So don't confuse that. So TPO stands for market profile. That's the POC of the market profile, and volume profile, as you guys know, is the POC. Let's move on here. So kind of, the profile types that we use. So I introduced you guys lately a little bit more to the fixed range profile, where you can measure, if you have a nice run up, a nice break, let's say of a previous high, and it breaks through that, and you can take that whole run basically from, it doesn't matter if it's swing low to swing high. You can select the specific range that you want on TradingView only. Actually, I don't see that on TOS anytime soon. You can see the volume profile for that area, and how you can use that, and I'll show you guys in a couple of setups, is a lot of those areas get retested wherever there was a volume accumulation and the price creates an imbalance, meaning going up or down, price will retest, and that's where you want to enter short. A lot of time people enter short on the first break of these levels, and they regret it. There's a lot of testing done. Even Trader Dale did a lot of testing. Those failed about 67% of the time. So it's not as strict in your favor to be playing the breakouts or the breakdowns as much as possible. Rather play the retest of these levels, and you'll see. And I'll cover a couple of examples live through the watch list tonight, so you guys can see how that works. Visible range. So basically, as it sounds, right, for people that are not familiar, it's the VSRP, I believe, and Dumpster, correct me if wrong. I think that's what they call it in TradingView, but I'll show you guys. It's basically whatever is on your screen. If you're showing from June to current date, let's say August 1st, the volume profile is going to be basically built from whatever is visible on the screen.
Shorty is VRVP.
Yep, there you go, VRVP. I always forget those little acronyms they have. And then the session volume is, I prefer this one. I prefer to look at this. And you guys know that we look for VPOCs. We look for the POCs of the previous days, because those will act as magnets as well. So, in addition to having the fixed range, having your session volume and finding the POCs above and below, especially if they're virgin POCs, it's probably the most accurate thing you can find, and a lot of times you're called lucky, just because those levels hit so hard, especially when it's a VPOC, and you combine that maybe with some previous skinny belly, or if there's any clouds or confluences, it just makes the trading so much easier when you know where a potential bounce or rejection is coming. Okay, so any questions on the types? Next, we'll look at the visual breakdown of the volume profile. So this one's fairly easy. You guys see me using it every day. The highest point, or the highest shelf that you see on the horizontal scale here, is called POC. It's the point of control. So that means there was the most volume traded within this area. What I like to do, you guys see me doing this a lot, is that I grab a couple of shelves above, usually look for 3 up, 3 down around it, unless there's a weird curve around it like it was here, right? So maybe I would have grabbed these two along with the bottom one here, or bottom one here, because it falls off the cliff here a little bit of support. So I would grab that and I would make that a zone, right? I don't prefer to have a single line as a resistance buy or sell levels, just because they can fake you out a lot of times. And the more you get used to this, the better it is, because then you can have a plan and you can have a little bit of a cushion for your stop losses, right? So value area high, kind of what it means is basically where they're finding the value to be, it's too high at that price. And then value area low, they're saying, oh, the value of this stock is very too low, we need to push it up. And they usually push it back up. If the POC is in between, which usually is, they will push it back to the POC probably 90% of the time. And then you guys know from the volume profile, the rules that I gave you guys, there's about 10 rules. When we dip below the value area low, let me see. When we dip below the low value area low here, like we did, and we regain it, usually that means there's about 80-20% rule, 80% chance that you're going to go back to the value area high. So those rules are not in this PowerPoint, but they are in the Discord. So I do suggest you guys read those. And then when you look at the structure of the volume profile, so you have the value area high, the point of control, value area low. This is your profile high, profile low, profile high. And then, there's something called HVN and LVN. So they're not on here. Those are your high volume nodes. So these are the 3 main things. But then, depending on the volume profile shape, like, this is a lowercase b, you would have like a node above it somewhere where you're looking to short from those levels in the retests, right? So you have high volume nodes. Those are like thick lines on a horizontal scale, and low volume areas, we call them skinny bellies, like this one here. That means the price is most likely just going to fly through that area, up or down. Okay, so a bell curve, as you guys know, we use the 68% for the value area high. And that's mainly because of the normal distribution, right? The standard deviations. If you go a little bit more on 2 standard deviations, you tend to lose the accuracy as you do, just mathematically, it's not as accurate. So usually staying with the 68% for the value areas is really, really accurate. And a lot of people that use volume profile refer to the 68% rule more so than any other number. Okay. Okay, so this is where we mentioned the high volume nodes and the low volume nodes. So we kind of covered it there. And then we covered the volume profile shapes and the meaning. So you have the D shape, uppercase B, P, B, and the double distribution, which is your B shaped here. Inside, so if it's D shaped, this is your basically inside day. Usually this means balance. The buyers are kind of either accumulating or they're happy trading the price where it's at right now. This leads to a lot of choppiness and a lot of potentially, you're talking about typical days or sideways days where a lot of times you don't want to be trading these type of days. P shapes, so this is a pretty aggressive move when the buyers come in from the bottom right here and they push the price higher, and then they're like, okay, well, what do we do now, right? I mean, we drove the price so high. Do they accumulate and hold this level, or do they drop it to a next high value node like they did here? If you take a look at it, and if you draw this line, you see how they dropped it to the previous high value node. There were some late comers into the party, right? They're like, okay, well, let's buy it, don't miss it. well, then they're going to defend that level when it comes back for a revisit, and then they're going to send it higher. So, any questions so far?
No.
Does it make sense, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. B-shaped profile. So usually, I mean, if you see this type of profile in an uptrend, in like a uptrending market, that usually means some kind of reversal, right? On a downtrend level, you can definitely see these, and usually you want to short these on the retest of the POCs and the accumulation around it, right? So if you put some kind of box around here and you draw it all the way to the right, you'll be able to see that we came back to retest this. We're not able to break it, and the previous support becomes resistance, and that's another confirmation for that. Okay. The last bullet, you want to kind of get familiar with that one. Keep it in the back of your head when you're trading. If this closes above the 50% retracement of your high to low, there's a high chance that it's going to be debatable. It's going to continue going down. So in this case, if you grab from here to here, and let's say we close below it, as we did here, for instance, I don't know what day it is or what stock it is, but 50% would be somewhere around here, and we close below it, there's a higher chance that you're going to continue down. Once you reject the POC, you're going to go to the next level, probably test the low of the day of the previous day, as they did here, and they supported it multiple times. And then once you break that, it kind of gives you the next set of targets to the bottom. Okay. B-shape, so this is what we call the double distribution day. These are really good days to trade. That means there's a lot of range. So sometime in the top area, that means that there was a lot of sellers, and they basically took over the control and they sent the price lower. But then some new set of buyers showed up, and they're like, man, this price is really low here. Let's accumulate as much as we can, and then we're going to pop it back higher. And basically, you're playing ping pong between the two areas, like right here and right here. You're playing ping pong. So you get the price here. Once you break it, you can play the retest, or just go along here and put the stop loss right below the shelves, and then drive it all the way to the next closest shelf. Especially here, you see that you have a little V forming. You want to be getting out in this area. Okay. So we talked about support and resistance on the POC. So this is, when you become more familiar with the volume profile and the price actions, this will become your bread and butter. Especially when you combine this, and I have this identified as one of my favorite setups later in the PowerPoint. You guys see that we had, kind of like a reaction to this level here. It was a really, really good support before. My mouse is about to die. Hold on one second. Okay, we got it. So here, you guys see that we had a nice bounce here. Let me see. How do you? So here, you see that we had a nice support here. You had a nice support here. Then we breached it, right? So another thing that I'm going to add to your arsenal of trading, and it's fairly simple. You don't need anything else in your chart. Is if you grab the fixed volume profile from here to here, what would you guys expect to see in this area right here? Yes, I'm making sure you guys are following.
Can you please repeat? Can you repeat that?
Yeah. So if I grab the volume profile from this sell-off all the way to the bottom, right? What would I expect to see in the volume profile in this area right here?
Possibly a POC.
Possibly
No.
a POC, but you would definitely see some kind of accumulation, some kind of shelf, right?
Yes.
So now, what was previous support, previous low was here. So this is your low, low, low. Now this is going to become your resistance. So the break of the low becomes your resistance, and usually you want to take a short here, not necessarily here. Does anyone have an idea why, is it better to do it here than here? I don't know how to delete this. Let's see, right?
It's a retest.
Okay, but why? I mean, yeah, it's a retest, but why is it better?
Normally, after the retest, you're going to have a longer trend or trade
That's true. That's one of the
and
reasons.
verification.
But
You're
what I
looking for the same pattern.
You're looking for the same pattern, but there's one piece you guys are missing, and this will help you. If I'm entering here, before I didn't know where the buyers are going to show up. Here, well, I didn't know where they're going to show up. But now they just told me where they are. If I enter short here, where do I have to get out? I have to get out right here.
Yeah, right down at the bottom.
I'm not saying sell as soon as it touches the line. You sell into the strength. You don't want to be placing your sell orders as you're touching. You know, even taking a little bit less profits better because you're going to get a better fill anyways.
Mm-hmm.
You want to catch this IV rising. You don't want to catch the reversal and sell here because then you're going to lose money.
Yeah.
So let's see. Where's that racer?
So the reason for the retest is, the buyers let us know where they're at.
Well, we know basically where the level is. If you didn't know anything else besides this chart, right now I would know the buyers are here. And if I'm entering a short here, I should get out somewhere in this area.
Okay.
So, and then another, why do we get in here? Well, that's one of the reasons. And we talked about it before. So if I'm shorting, here, right? If I'm a short seller here and the price comes back to my level and I'm still short, what would I do to this level here?
Short again.
You're going to make sure that you don't go above it. They're going to add to their position so they can short it. And if these guys, let's say that they are going long and they're approaching this level, what would they do at this level? What would they do here to help you go down? If they bought the shares here,
the price.
what would they do here?
Buy.
If I bought here, you buy here, what would I do here?
Sell.
So
I would become a seller here, hence helping who? The person that shorted from here. So now you have the buyers flipping for you, and they're causing the rally down. So you have the seller protecting his level, and then you have these buyers exiting their long and going short. When you're covering your position, you're helping the case. Does that make sense?
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So now you'll see the scenario too of the same thing like here. So here's your support, support, support. Once you retest the resistance, that's your short position. And this happens in every time frame that we trade. So now, look what happens now. And this is the beauty of it. Earlier, we said, you would short right here. And look, you're still good. You put your stop loss right above. You're still good. Your first target is the bottom where you showed up before. You get out of the short here. A lot of people would do what here? The previous support, this level, the blue line here, is now breached. We broke above it. Now you're looking for it to become support. And this is where you go long. You don't go long here. You go long here. If you're to grab a volume profile from, let's call this point A to point B, this is still, look at the area. Look at this right here. This tells you there was a heavy volume accumulation in this area. So once you break above it, you just wait. Let these boys do the work for you. If you guys watch any of those, sea animals and sharks, usually when you see a shark, what do you see right below the shark? I know it's kind of weird, but when you have a big shark, there's tiny little fishes or sharks right below it.
It sticks right to it, yeah.
And they stay right under it. And there's few reasons, if you read about it, why they stay under it. One is protection, right? Two is also the leftovers. You don't have to be the big shark, and we are not the big sharks because we can't move this market, guys. There's not a person in this call that can even make this much dent to the market. This much. You can't even do this.
What?
In the market, this is institutional buyers. This is us. you want to play alongside with them. You don't want to play against them. So if they said, okay, the previous support turned into resistance, and now we are breaking above the resistance, well, these buyers here, somebody will drive the price back here, the short sellers. But these short sellers are going to start covering here, and they're going to drive the price back up, and you're going to hop in the long call, and then you have a target to go right here, and that's where you'll get out. This is the high and low breaks. And now, if I added the volume profile here from point A to point B, I guarantee you this would have been a P-shaped volume profile, and it would have had a volume node right here. I guarantee you in my life that that's exactly what will happen here. Okay. So if you guys are not familiar with the pin bar patterns, you should look into it. You really want to look for, another confluence point is the candlesticks themselves. We're not going to dive deep into it, but if you want to look for any candle type, it would be the pin bar. Whether if you're intraday trading, I suggest you wait for 15 or 10 minutes for pin bars, and you want to wait for that 10-minute or 15-minute candle to close. And if I'm going long off of the pin bar alone, let's say this was the pin bar that, we had a down action, we came up here, and then the pin bar showed up right here, right? I would wait for the high of that pin bar right here to break, and I would probably get in on the break of that candle, like midway once it breaks this candle, or you could wait for a retest here and go. It just requires a lot more patience, which it's not a human's nature to do. Okay, so let's see. Pin bar example, so there's a couple of them here. You see this guy right here. This was telling you there's a heavy sellers. So another thing, I'm just going to keep preaching it. If you grab the volume profile here to here, you would know where the heavy sellers are. And if you just look at this price action here, you see that there was a lot of volume accumulated here, hence the trend continued down. So if the trend is continuing down and you grab the volume profile and it's telling you the POCs in this area, you're playing the trend by shorting it from this level, and then it goes back down. And in the middle of all of that, you're adding a confluence point of a pin bar candle, which is right here. And most people that we watch on Twitter, they will short this a couple of times. They will catch it. I promise you. I'll show you a couple of examples. They will short it right here, and then they'll just go whoop, and then they'll wonder what happened to my account. Okay. So the D shape. So I mean, these are your typical days, and as you guys know, you have responsive buyers, sellers. If you're gonna trade this type of day, you draw the high and low of the day, and you literally trade within that area, and you want to stop trading this type of typical day around 2:30 to 4 o'clock. You don't want to be playing too much bounces on those end lines, because that's when the volatility comes in, and it's what we call power hour. And usually from typical day, you can go to extended typical day, and you don't want to be caught long on the bottom in those hours, and then they just break through it down, and then you have a losing trade. So usually between 2:30 and 4, you want to stop trading the typical behavior of being a responsive buyer on the bottom, seller on the top. Does that make sense? Okay, and the last bullet, if you guys pay attention to it, once you have a range like this, let's say this is our range of the stock, and this is your initial balance high is right here, your initial balance is here, low. If you're taking a short position here, you just basically draw the fib from here to here, and you find 50%, and you just take profits every time. If you short it, take profits of 50%. If you're long, take profits of 50%. And that's the best way that's your rule that I just gave you for the D-shaped volume profile. That should be one of your rules, okay? All right, so let me see the P-shaped volume profile. So usually this is uptrend or ending of a downtrend, or sometimes, I've seen it in the short coverings. If you do see something like this, if the POC is on the top, right here, or, let's say POC was here, You have a volume cluster, a high volume node. Once we go here, they'll most likely dip, they'll come back, and that's where you want to go along on a P-shaped volume profile. Okay. B shape, so we kind of talked about it previously, right? So this is your, oh, I'm sorry, this is lowercase b. I'm looking at my other screen, I had uppercase b. So lowercase b is usually in a downtrend. It can occur on the top, right? On the uptrend, when you see this, usually means reversal. So if you see something like this, right, if your volume profile POC is here, and you have a really nice cluster, aka high volume node here, you want to be looking for a short opportunity somewhere in this range, so you can take it back down either to the first POC level here, or any level that you have identified after that. Usually POC being the first target is a good profit. Okay. We covered this one here. So this is basically you're playing, kind of ping pong. You have a zone here on the top, you have a zone on the top, on the bottom here. So you short here, you usually want to get to the next high volume node, trim there, and then you get out here. And then once you break, your price action is dictating here. You have a bear flag. Once you break this high right here, you can go long and go to the next zone where the high volume node was. Okay. Now we're going to get into something something that I favor a lot, especially lately. We've had a lot of traps, and the volume is the only thing that will not lie along with the price. So if you want to kind of incorporate this, I will show you kind of on the screen the two examples, and then we're going to go through the watch list, and I'll bring up a couple of ideas of where these things can happen, what time frames you should use. If you're swinging, you kind of want to at least use a daily time frame and look for a swing high and swing low and buy it on those levels. If you're playing intraday levels, you want to look at a day session and see if we have a trend up, then you grab that trend that pushed up, you grab the high and low, and I'll explain that in more visual but format so you guys can see it. So let's kind of cover this. We want to use the fixed volume profile to select the swing high, swing low. It doesn't really matter if it's swing high first or swing low. So it's not like fibs. You can use either or. If you're looking to go long, you want to wait for the retest of the volume accumulation zone. So meaning if we have a volume profile that looks like this, and we pop from here, and there's some volume nodes here, you want to wait for a node, whether we come back here and retest to take it long, this would be your entry here. So that's what this one means. If you're looking to go short, it's just the opposite, right? If we break down this way, you want them to come back here, drive it, and then you take it down and you have your first target, right? That's what we covered previously in some of them. It really is a waiting game. And a lot of you guys that I see, and I see in your profits, I see it in your trade logs, you guys are itching to take a trade at every minute that you're watching the screen. I want you to change that. I want you to wait for your setup. You say, yes, I'm going to buy here. And if it doesn't happen, I'm not going to trade today. I'm a buyer here, and that's it. If I'm a buyer here, this is my stop loss. You follow your rules, and I promise, the more it hits your stop loss and you respect that stop loss, it's the process that matters. You're going to thank me 5 years from now. You're going to say, man, Shorty taught me this. It's the process your first 2 to 3 years, guys. You can learn all you want, and if you look at your P&L every day, you're going to not like it. Because a lot of you guys are hectic traders. You want to buy, I'm going to buy here. I see this break, this indicator telling me this, or this one telling me this. Either if you're using an indicator or whatever you might be using, but you got to wait for your setups. You can't just, let me go long because somebody on Twitter said to go long or whatever. You want to wait for your setup. And this is one of the easiest ways to make money and wait. This is key. You want to trade in the direction of a trend. A lot of us, including myself, we fall for, the psychological tricks that they play. Oh, the market should go down, right? Oh, the market has bad news, bad news, bad news. And then what happens? Whoop. Whether it's a short rally covering or if it's truly reversal of the market trend, it's to be determined. But, you come in unbiased, right?
So,
Have the
Shorty, your voice is double or echo. Even mine. I don't know what happened.
Maybe it's on you. Is anyone else experiencing this?
No.
No.
Sound fine with me.
Yeah, maybe go on mute, Angel, and see if that helps.
Do what?
So trade in the direction of a trend. That's key, right? Especially when you're using volume setups, right? And if you see P-shaped volume profiles, there's a little volume node and you're running like crazy. Well, just wait for that volume node to come back to retest. And you guys will see it on ES. There's a couple of them that I was watching just moments ago before we joined the call. So, and you guys know this, right? The longer the accumulation, the higher the chance of a trend starting. And then the longer the accumulation, the stronger the trend will be. So you guys have seen this in the Wyckoff theory that I've talked about before in the previous classes. You know, if you're accumulating for 12 months, and once you break that level, there's a high chance, you know, it's going to be basically the retest of that whole accumulation zone. So you measure the zone and you set your first target and that zone, the distance between the top and the bottom, and you basically trade it. Is it going to go higher? Probably. Is it going to go, you know, not even to this? There's a high chance, but at least you have a target to play. When there's a huge accumulation, there's going to be a violent move, imbalance move coming from that. So the three setups, the last setup I did not finish in explaining, so I can talk about it. I want to put the rules for you guys because a lot of you guys are getting familiar with the trend lines and using them, but there are certain rules you should follow, and especially now the ES is in a nice channel up and a nice trend lines around it. There are certain rules that you want to follow, when to short it, when you go long. So we'll cover that, but probably not today. So we'll focus on the, you know, we pretty much covered this one with that example of the support where we had two taps on the bottom. It broke it, came back. You don't take here, you take it on the retest and go along here, and then your first target's right there. So we kind of covered this. We'll cover it more. We'll combine these two setups, and you guys will see how this creates really, really powerful levels. So accumulation setup. So let's kind of take a look at it here. I just kind of found one earlier on 65 minutes. This is the most current ES chart. I grabbed, if you guys see it, I grabbed the latest what we have, and I just kind of want to walk you through it. So what I did, I grabbed it from point A, and I grabbed it to the point B. Remember, it doesn't matter if it's A to B or B to A, you will get exactly the same volume profile. What do you guys call this right here?
POC. VPOC.
This is our POC for this area. So this would be since, what is this? This would be, I think, July 14th, call it, to, you know, almost end of the July. So for a whole month of July, I would say we've been running up. So that's what I grabbed. So now if we were playing in the direction of a trend, there's a couple of areas, right, that we should be aware of, right? So if you look at the volume profile, if this price was to drop here, you would expect a lot of buyers to come in because this is where they accumulated last time. If you look at this, right, so I drew it kind of here. They accumulated the price so heavily here, and then they drove the price up. You know, they had a low retest. They hit the value area high. They came back down, and I think we even called this one here when it did happen, right? So now the best thing that you can wait, you know, on a bigger scale. So I grabbed almost a month. If you wanted to go long, and let's say you want to play on the first touch, if this price was to come back here, on the first touch of this area, you're grabbing calls and you drive it up, and your first target would be right here, which would be your value area high. Most likely would reject there, and you would get out happy, right? Probably about 80 or 100 points that you would get on ES, or if you're trading SPX during the day. But this would be a nice area to get in, right? And you would put your stop loss. Let's say, you know, you see it's creeping inside of this. Let's see, I wish there was an easy button. If you see the price is approaching this level, and of course, if the candles are getting smaller, that's a good sign. That means, you know, the sellers are getting out of their short position, and now the buyers are going to be violent, and you can expect a quick, you know, reaction of this level. If you see the candles are somewhat, you know, it's a big candle and it got in the middle of this zone right here, well, then just wait, you know, wait till it gets to this POC, and then see if we can get a little bit of accumulation and then break the accumulation here and then go long on that. So that way it kind of protects you. I like to go on the first touch and then I put my stop loss. Can you have a little bit of a drawdown here? Yeah, this area here is, what I'm willing to lose anyways, but I know where my target is, so I can play that accordingly. Okay, so like I told you guys, there was a really nice trap here, a perfect trap executed by market makers. And just think about psychologically, what is everybody expecting, right? Everybody was expecting a sell-off, 75 basis points. PCE is, 1982 high. Not much good news has been published in terms of the economy. Then you have, non-political. You have the president fighting, and arguing that we are not in a recession. All the books that we have in economics tell you that 2 GDP's contraction means it's a recession. Now they're saying, no, it's not. So there's really not much good news. And now, there's a war in Europe that's about to break out, and, Taiwan, Pelosi. Me personally, I haven't seen good news, but they drove the price up. So what do you do if you're a market maker? Well, you accumulate it. Look at this zone right here. And what do? Well, you break the zone down and get what? What do you think happened here once this broke here? Remember, I talked about those people that
get faked out.
So those people that play the breakouts, let me see. I don't know if there's this. I can't draw here, but you guys get the point. Like if I draw a box around here, and I suck at drawing, freehand drawing. So if I draw a box here, yeah, sure, there's a box, but there's, the area that I'm green in. If people are playing this breakout here and they expected a retest all the way to here, what do you think happened? All these shorts got trapped. And if you didn't have a good stop loss like this POC here, well, you're in for a ride. You're just getting pretty much like tossed around on this crazy run from 39.40 to 41.40 for about 100 points. It was pretty brutal to watch. Well, actually more, 200 points. So this is the trap that I'm talking about, hence the retest, right? So even if you came here on the previous, if you see here, they gave you even another candle that makes you think, yes, we're retesting this, we're going to go short. And remember, there's no strategy that's going to work 100% of the time. That's why your stop loss and risk management is more important than profit managing. So if I did not have, and I was short on this as well, if I did not have a stop loss above it, I would have been killed on ES. So that's why it's key, right, to be a risk manager rather than a profit manager. I did what I was supposed to do. It came back down. I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to short it here. And I took a short. I should have known that this move down needed to go to the bottom of the demand zone, and then I'd be able to short it. And I didn't do that. I was eager to trade. I took a trade here. I took a stop loss. I think it was about 26%. I took a stop loss on SPY, on SPX, ES, few of them, but then I was able to reverse and I was able to play the trend up. But I just want to cover this, why retest and stop loss is so important for you guys, especially if you're trying to grow an account. You cannot not have a plan. And this was, I executed per my plan exactly. It was a losing trade, but I'm proud of it. Okay. Any questions on this? So we accumulated here on the buy area. So now on this heavy chart, right? I mean, long duration chart. I mean, you're talking about, almost a month, let's say 20 days. If we come back to this area, I'd be a buyer right here. I'd buy some calls and go higher. Even if I get it to this point, it would be 100 points that I play. But this occurs on all time frames, right? You can grab a period from here to here and see where's the volume profile and where are the shelves and where can you look for a retest. I mean, if you look here, this looks like a nice little consolidation zone. So it could be that they broke out of it, come back, and then go higher. And if they break 4,200, we'll take a look at it on Watchlist side. It becomes fairly bullish. That means weekly making higher high. Okay, so this is our bullish example. On a bearish example, here's, I think I used ES, but it was kind of towards January. So here's the volume profile I grabbed. Oof, I don't know why this happened. So this is our the break of this volume shelf. Our POC is here. And at that time, if you go back and you know, the little time thing on TradingView, this was a POC at one point, and you see the shelf is really close to the POC here. So if you wanted to short this area, definitely you could. If you wanted to short, you know, this area as well. Sorry, my drawing is horrendous when I do this. You can definitely short this area, but the concept is more important than a level in this discussion, right? So we break this area, we break this at that time POC. You break below it, you make a nice little short, you know, you hit the value area low, and you see that there's a lot of buyers, right? The buyers are not letting go of this price going lower. They dipped it a little bit, but they brought it back up. So then what you do is you enter a short position here, and your stop loss is above it. And you use the shelves right below as your first target. PT target 1 is right here. Your PT target 2 is right here. It's where the skinny belly starts. Usually buyers will show up. And then your last PT target, you can use the value area low, or you can draw around this here, and you'll be for sure selling into the strength rather than waiting on somebody to wash you out and flip the side for you. It's always better to sell a little bit early than all the way to the support line that you see here. So that's why I said this would be your PT3. And then this here, this line that I mentioned, this would be your stop loss, because you're waiting for the accumulation, and you're being kind of hiding behind these walls of these sellers. If you're able to break this, then okay, well, I'll get out too. But as long as these sellers are here and they're shorting, you're staying in the trade. And look, you know, you stayed in this trade. Let's say you took profit here. You actually re-add on this level, and now you trim again, and then you trim again here, and then you trim again here. And it's just looking at a chart and making sense to why it works. And then even if you look to the far right, I mean, I forgot what time frame I'm on this. I think it was 2 hours or something like that. But here, you come back here, and they set up a little trap. They break below above this level. So this is a little trap here. They set it up, and then once they dip below it and you come back for a retest, this is a great short. And then you play the same levels. Look, if you took a short here, there's your first price target. You get out. Your second price target, and then your third price target right here, and you get out. Does this make sense?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. The broken high and low, what I was showing you guys before, when you combine the broken high and low, which is your strong support, similar example to what we had earlier. So if you look at this, I kind of took it from here. I could have taken it from here to here as well. When you look at it, right, so this was our support area right here, which also happens to be the value area low, which is going to be a really strong area for price. It's going to have a reaction to it. And you guys see you had a nice reaction here. I mean, here, and then it reclaimed it here. And then it seems like, oh, this is Caterpillar, by the way. They basically gapped it down below it. And now you see that we found some kind of support somewhere around 165, right? I didn't go into it to where it was the support, but now we are approaching that resistance where the sellers were really aggressive. The only thing that I don't like would be what on this short entry here?
Earnings.
Earnings is one. What else? I don't like that they gapped it right below it. It seems like they were not able to break this in normal trading hours. They're able to break it here. And look, we brought it back immediately. I mean, this is on a 4-hour chart. Within 8 hours, the price was back above that support. So, to me, it sounds like somebody wanted to get cheap shares, that there was a liquidity break somewhere around here, and they're trying to get the shares for cheap. There was a lot of stop losses right here. You know, when you look at even numbers, most of retail would put a stop loss at 199, right below 200, and look what they did. They gapped it down. People started panicking, recession, sold it, Now they drove it back up, and now, the question is, when you open up tomorrow, do we break this? And there was a heavy, heavy buying of October 220 calls. So they're targeting somewhere around this area here. So now tomorrow is very important. If we break above this, you wait here, and then you grab these calls for October.
Yeah, I forget what the reason was for Cap breaking down, but it was some bullshit reason.
No, yeah, I mean, this is a company that I have in my portfolio. It's a very strong company. If you can buy it on these dips that they're giving, like these 160s, this is, for me, it's a great opportunity to add for a long time, especially if you have kids. Does this make sense? Broken high and low. So what I look for, we broke the low here, which was acted as support. This was low, low, low. So then the best thing you can do, you can grab the volume profile from here to here, and you look to re-enter the short position somewhere here or wherever that shelf is. Let's say they drive it all the way, they want to drive it to 220. That's fine. I mean, there's a high chance that they will with the ER, and then you could look for a short or a fade all the way to 200. And it just depends how the volume reacts to it and, where the accumulation happens. This happens on every time frame, guys. I just did a bigger picture so you guys see it. I'll show you guys in smaller. Any questions on the volume setup? So you have the accumulation setup, you have the break of high, low, and then you have a combo of these, which is really, really, really dangerous. Like, it's a really good setup for trading. If you guys are no questions, then let's get into the charts itself. So we'll start with let's look at the weekly charts. I'll remove this. You guys are starting fresh. So we'll start the watch list now and go from there and set up some levels for us. So when you look at this as a naked chart on the weekly, right, we still have not broken and made a higher high. On the weekly, that's 4,200. So you would expect us to break that in order to reverse a trend, because as you guys know, what is a bearish trend in terms of price action?
Lower low. Lower high. Yeah, I guess that's
So you have lower highs plus lower lows.
Higher low, lower low.
Yep. So here we need to make a higher high, and we already have higher lows. So we need to make this. We're still consolidating. A lot of people are bullish, but we're still consolidating, right? Technically, we are still in consolidation period. You could even say that we are still in the bearish trend, because this is your lower low. Here's the break of your previous low, and now if we close above this on this cycle now, let's say we're able to hold 3,800. Well, you're still in the consolidating here, and you have a nice triangle being set up. And now we got 2 points here. Okay, so now we just kind of keep going. So here, if we take a look at this, to me, it's still a bear pennant, but it doesn't mean it's going to necessarily play out. But this would be a really good spot for shorting on a bear pennant, right? And you guys see that there was an imbalance created. So now, as you guys know, what I like to do always on 30 minutes, I'll show you the 30 minutes first.
Shorty. Someone's asking, what time frame is ideal to identify volume shelf?
Well, it depends, right? I mean, that's what we talked about. So the volume shelf, if you're intraday trading, if you're looking for day trading, right, you want to be using, fixed profiles. So if I wanted to look at a shelf, so if I'm looking for a run up today that started at, what is this, July 29th, so that was 9:30. I would look at on the most recent swing highs and lows and look for scalping. So this would be my scalping area. I would look for a bounce somewhere around 4107. So there's a high chance that this bear flag is going to break and we're going to go to 4107. But that's just a quick trade that I would look. I would look to scalp at 4107 and take it long a little bit. If I'm looking for a bigger swing, right, I'm trying to understand the bigger run that we've had. Let's go on like 2 hours. And you see here, let's say I want to look at this run from here to here. Well, I'm grabbing it now from July 26th. July 26th, what is this? To, I guess, current. So let me hide this. So if I look at this area right here, so my POC is right here. Right. So I grabbed a couple of days. You can wait for a retest here to go along on this POC around 41 area, 4107, which is similar level what we had previously. So I'm grabbing a little bit more data, but it means it'll be a little bit more waiting time. So if I grab more data here, and I'm going all the way to July 14th, and now I'm able to play this area. If my plan is to wait for this area here, this is where you're going to get it on ES. So it'll be around 39.50 that we would get that. So it just depends on what is it that you're trading like. If you're, if you're a day trader and you're looking for scalping, well, I mean, you don't need much. I mean, you can use, this area right here is plentiful, right? I mean, it's probably going to come back to this area here and you can go long, or, there's a confluence between 4109 and 4104 based on the previous, but this would be the area that I'm looking to go long right here. For a scalp only though. And my next shelf would be the target. So you're looking for 10 points, and there's people that will take 10 points on 50 lot contracts on ES. They'll take it any time of the day. I mean, I'll take it as well. Okay. That answer, I don't know who asked. Let me see.
Yeah, it said they said it did answer them.
Okay.
Thank you, Shorty.
Yep. Okay, so let me go back to
Shorty, to get the VRVP, the way you had it, you go from the top all the way to the top to the bottom.
what do you mean? That's
The-
fixed profiles. So
The highest.
if you go under indicators and you click on technicals and then volume profile, that's the fixed range volume profile. That's what we kind of talked about just moments ago in the trading. I'm trying to find, for instance, I'm looking on this run. Just
Yes.
focus on what's on the screen. I'm looking for this run. Where's the potential buyers accumulation of this run right here?
Yeah.
Okay, well, here on this run, it seems like the buyers are right now here. And if we are able to break below this level, which is 40.94, and I'm just looking at shelves. If you're able to break 40.94, there's a high chance you're going to come 40.80. You're going to retest that level, and that's the POC of this whole run up. Most of the volume was accumulated here. The heaviest congestion volume, if you look at the thickness of it,
in the middle.
is right here.
Yeah. No, I was just saying. My question was: how do you get it from one point to what point? From the bottom to the top to show up?
Yeah, you can get it. I can get it from
the highest point.
I can get it from the point to the lowest. It doesn't matter the order, as long as you know your swing high and low. Like, what are you looking for? I'm looking for buyers here to see where they showed up.
Yeah.
If I was looking for bears, for instance, in this area, right? So I'll grab somewhere from here to here, so I see the full shelf.
Espérate, niño.
So now I'm able to see that there's a strong POC here. Now let's just put that POC there. 41.19, there's a strong POC here. And then I'll just mark my little area.
Gotcha.
Now I'm able to know where the strong sellers are. And look where we are right now.
Yep.
And you have a bear flag right into this. And if somebody has, those unusual whales, you'll see that there was about $6 billion worth of selling, well, buying or selling on SPY on Friday.
Wow.
$6 billion worth of shares of SPY were traded on Friday.
Holy shit.
Through dark pools.
That's huge.
So, And if SPY didn't have a dividend date and they paid out, most of those people are going to do what to the shares? They will sell it like hotcake. But here's a nice little bear flag so far on this little run in 30 minutes. Okay, so let me just continue with these. I don't know why this changed completely, but that's okay. So I'm just going to look. Well, why did this change here? Okay. Okay, well, this is my settings here, so let's see. So we have a VPOC right here on SPY, or ES, sorry. So 4073, we have an area that we can look for the retest, and we saw that 4080 earlier was fairly important. So what I like to do, as you guys know, this becomes my V, like that, becomes my VPOC. Another VPOC here, maybe I can just copy this guy, get rid of this guy. And then I guess another copy. We got 3 VPOCs right below here on ES. Going all the way to 39.27. And so it seems like there was a lot of retail involved here, and this could be a short squeeze right here. Because you had a nice uptrend, and then you had a B-shaped volume profile here, and then you're running in a B-shaped volume profile and an uptrend usually means reversal. And here it could be a short covering, and then you have a, I don't know, maybe a D-shaped volume profile here, then another P or double distribution, and here's another P shape here, definitely a P shape here. So you really need to break 41, I guess, this POC if you want to go long, 41, 33, 4 to go long. And then we're going to break this 41, 43 easy after that. There's a lot of VPOCs here. Usually that means, you know, if you get between, you know, 3 and 5, that's usually, hey, we're reversing, we'll be back.
We had the same thing when we ran down and ran back up.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, you're talking about this, right?
Yeah, when we had all the 3 days of gap downs.
Yeah, and it came back down. We'll look at SPYs to see some gaps. This doesn't, you don't get gaps with ES. So let's see, so we have that area. We can mark this area here in the bottom. We won't visit it fairly soon unless a new war starts tomorrow. Okay, and then if you just switch to maybe a little bit like 2 hours, you guys will see something interesting here. So, you know, obviously in a bigger time frame, we're still in a bear flag. Here now is the channel. This is the question of the channel, is what we're going to do here, right? So here's your channel. We're hitting the top of it, right? So a lot of people, professional traders, would not, if you switch this to 4 hours, it will give you a better clue. They would not take this short until this level is broken here. You can take it below 40.73 and keep a really tight stop loss, but a lot of traders would wait, believe it or not, for this. I personally will take a short if it breaks 40.73. I would take this. I mean, does anyone know what this setup is on 4 hours on the candles?
Engulfing.
It's a bearish engulfing. And now if you switch to like, does anyone know what setup this is on 3 hours? These cluster, the 3 candles. Does anyone know?
No.
Spinning top.
Spinning top is one of them. Does anyone remember any babies?
Hanging man.
Evening star.
Look up Abandoned Baby and see how it looks.
Oh.
Very close here. I just wish he just went a little bit higher. But we'll check SPY to see if that happened. But yeah, spinning top is definitely a good answer. Island top, sure. I really like Abandoned Babies here. No, like yeah, just trading wise,
Whoa.
but I like that pattern here a lot. So I would watch this. So if we are able to break 40.73, that would be a good sign that we are reversing. We're going to go down probably to about 39.80s would be the next level where you're looking to get it. And then, so you have your VPOCs identified, right? I'm just surprised there's not a VPOC here, honestly. Just doesn't make sense. Like, there's a shelf here and a POC. I guess here's the POC, but that doesn't add up. Doesn't add up why this survived here. I'm just looking at volume profile.
Last week made sense, so.
I mean, it just had 0 sense. I mean, you look at this area here, you needed to go to 39.80, all the way to 39.80, and somehow it defended that level, which is okay, right? I mean, sure, you can defend it all you want, but it just doesn't add up from, it was a nice imbalance area there. Okay. So these would be the levels for ES for the downside, right? You can't just look at downside. What is this here? This is our value area high here of this sell-off, which was right here at 42.02. So if you're going to go long tomorrow, there's 2 ways you can play it, right? So you can play the break and retest of this POC here. This level here, and then basically your targets would be fairly easy on this. Let me kind of go on 65 minutes. So if you look here, you will have a really, really hard time till about 41.58, and then it will take off from 41.58 to 4,200. Don't be surprised if they pull this off tomorrow. So you have your level for long, you have your level for short on ES, fairly easy. Now what you want to do, we know, I mean, if you take a look at this sell-off, right, this is all of the sell-off right here. I grabbed it, the area, I mean, if this breaks this level here, I mean, just look at the sell-off right here. Look how it lines up here. Do you guys see that? It will literally, it has room to fall off the cliff and go back to 30. And there's literally this tiny little shelf here at 40.25, which might hold. I mean, I've seen weird things happen. It could hold from 40.73 to 40.25. That's 50 points. That's plenty. But it really triggers these VPOCs here. And then the value area low here lines up perfectly with 39.76 area. But I would treat these VPOCs above his first target. So it'd be 40.73 to 39.75, 39.27, and so on. And then if you're, wanting to go long, I mean, you have a really nice run up here that you can use. So this is your, I would call it July 14. I would call it the run up composite value area high. I will just put this on the right side. I'll just and you have that. So now you're able to kind of gauge that, right? You break 40.73 would be smart, to trim some at 40.42, definitely. You want to trim some of that. Once you break this area, you see the 39.96 almost becomes fairly easy, right? Based on technicals. And then you have the VPOC here. So agrees that you should be looking in this area and scaling out at this level, because then you get hit hard with this POC here. And I would look, if I'm short and, there's not many more bad news, this would not be a bad area to scalp some longs. If we break this POC here, then, you open up the doors to the value area low. I'm going to struggle with this. Okay, close enough. And I would say this is like 5x POC here. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, probably 9, but 5 are within the range, so that's fine. 5x POC is pretty big level. And this was value area low of the sell-off. So this level here is pretty important. 3,800 for it. Okay. Any questions on ES? Okay, so no questions. Anyone? Yeah. Okay, let's look at SPY. So I already had some stuff drawn on SPY here. 65-minute candle was not looking very good. You guys want me to reset the chart on SPY, or you guys want me to keep this?
That's fine. You can leave it.
All right.
It's pretty basically the same thing as ES.
Well, it's identical. I mean, yeah, fairly identical. All you need to add on this chart now is we're gonna add this bull run here. And now you have this value area high here. So if you lose 402.73, I mean, it's almost like you're gonna fall off the cliff here. Let's see, let me just do this. And you can even grab, from the whole zone here to here. And you'll see, once you lose this level of 405, call it 405.31. I mean, in my opinion, it's going to happen really quickly, $10 drop. All the way back to this value area high here, which is 397.55. So keep that in mind, but the buying area would be right here at 395. So, and one thing to notice on this chart, you can notice it on ES is what? Anyone?
Gaps.
Yeah, a ton of gaps, guys. I mean, it's just, let me make these gaps some color. So no, I can't do that one. This looks like a dumpster color. Gap. Let's see, another gap. And another gap. So 1, 2, 3. Have you guys ever heard of three exhaustion gaps? Usually when a stock gaps up 3 times, so let me look at it a daily, it might look better. So here's one. Let's see. So maybe it looks a little bit different on a daily. So there's one here. I don't know, there's a gap here. Let's see. So there's 1, 2 gaps. Why would the intraday show gaps? I'll pay attention to these areas as well. So if we look at this on, let's say 15 minutes, 30 minutes, sorry. And if you look at the SVPs here, you'll see that there's a bunch of epochs here as well. There's a epoch here. And we might as well copy this guy out a few times. So there's a epoch there, epoch here, and then another epoch. Another epoch here. And then let's see, there's another epoch here at 377. Wow.
Yeah, you can see just, I mean, it's very obvious too with the VPs, the distributions around those VPOC.
Yeah, I mean,
VPs, it's very.
I'm surprised they held this level here. Really, really shocked. Like this level here, I mean, you look at it, right, they held that skinny belly for dear life. They're holding
I was
on.
waiting for that to break to hit that POC at 387.
Oh man, they're holding it for
Just never
dear
happened.
life.
And then we
Yeah,
gapped up.
yeah, they want you. Remember what I told you guys about a couple of weeks back? Markets never fall on everybody's inputs. How do you get it to change? Well, they just did. Half of the people are bullish now on Twitter. Okay, so here, so this. So here, once they lose that 305. So if you want to short it below, you guys see this skinny belly here? Okay, not that color. Put this color. This would be a nice area to short right below this. So if you guys look at it, this would be a good area to short. I would not try to short it just yet from this run here. You don't want to be caught, shorting a train. So I would short it below 408, let's call it 80, and you could have a chance to go all the way to about 405 level. And then if you want to go long, let's just be aware of this level. The only way I go along on this is same as ES. This is Friday's POC, long on retest. Okay, and then tomorrow, depending how we open, right? You can look at this, let's say on 5 minutes. I'm just gonna hide this just to give you an idea tomorrow. Okay, so here's the session break. So tomorrow you can play this. If you see that we have a nice run up like we had, I guess this Friday, yeah, Friday. Yeah. So just grab the high and low of here, and look what happened. Where did they bounce it? They reclaimed the value area low, and then you could even play the POC here, the game that they did. Here, once you basically, if you got in long here, you got trapped. They reclaimed that level, and remember, I briefly mentioned that there's an accumulation at this level here. Wait for that accumulation to break, and then take a long, right? So if you did that, then you would have had your value area high. If you took a long here, let's say, your value area high would be target at 409. Look what happens. They break that level, they come back for a retest, and then even the high of the day wasn't really too much trouble. They kind of danced for it a little bit, and then they went to 412. Okay. Here's another nice one here. So look here, they faked it for the sell-off. And here's your POC. The heaviest volume accumulation happened here on this day, on this run up here. And they never really came back to revisit this level at all. Okay, so that's buy Qs. That was my short level, if you guys remember, for Qs. I mean, it really would have worked out on the tap there. I'm still convinced that if you're able to break below 312.48, that we're going to go down here back into the channel, because we are a little bit overextended here. So let's take a look at 30 minutes. All right, well.
Four below.
I'm just going to copy and paste a bunch of them. I remember, Dirty brought it up earlier, we had the same thing happen when we went down. And look, nobody believed it, but we came back to every one of these VPOCs. Yep, so that's all of the VPOCs there. Sorry, guys, it's boring, but it's important. Yep. And man, we are looking sharp on 65 minutes here. What does this candle look like? Anyone?
Shooting star. Inverted hammer.
We talked about it just now. Somebody has to know the answer. Does it look like this a little bit? Nope. All right. Oh, let me show you. It does look like that. So here's a trappy one. Here's another little pin bar here. 65 minutes, and there's a pin bar building up right now. And I don't know how to draw a trend line on this. That's impossible. There is one. I just can't get points. Maybe in 30 minutes. Okay, well. Come on, bring it down.
70 degrees.
There's your Friday's POC. Everybody get that? So there's a chance you're going to bounce here. That's a really nice, if you look at volume profile. So you could bounce right here because that's the Friday's POC here. So if you bounce here, you want to take some calls because we don't know how long this is going to run, right? The bearish run. I mean, they had 30-minute candles that looked uglier than this one, and pump, and they reversed it all. So there's a high chance, that they might hold this here at kind of 314, this level here, 314.46 to 56. If they break that, then you can short it if you want to scalp it for $1, sure. But it's going to be tight here, and this probably be a nice little bounce area here for two reasons. One is that it has a trend line here or a channel, and this would be a nice retest of a channel here. If it comes here and retest it, and then you go long, and then you can literally shoot for the 320 retest, quickly. Especially with Amazon had the ER, Apple kind of the big boys are behind on the tech side, in my opinion. There's more, but those are the big heavy hitters, and somehow they ended up all running up green. Microsoft, Amazon, Google. I think AMD is this week, if I'm not mistaken. There's AMD. There's a few others. Chip space that's going to be reporting.
AMD.
Somebody will post.
Shopify.
That was last week.
Shop was last week. Yeah.
Caterpillar.
Have you charted Shopify on the weekly?
Oh, no, I haven't charted yet. No.
It looks really good on the weekly. It's in the accumulation phase on the weekly, so it's ranging.
It's been accumulating forever. I think 36 to 29. It's been there for a minute.
Yeah, it's coiling up for a massive move though.
No, it is. Yeah. So let me just finish NQ here, and then we'll look at some tickers. Well, okay. Well, it looks like I charted NQ here with the VPOCs. VPOC here, VPOC here. I don't know what these lines are, so I'm just going to delete them. Yep. So for 30 minutes, we have NQ. That's our VPOC from, well, it's POC, Friday POC. Okay. So this is NQ, and then another thing you do on this guy, right, is the same thing we did earlier. You want to know where these levels are, and it looks like that level mostly accumulated here at 12, call it 12.45. So we're 500 points away on this since. Pretty wild. So we got one touch. Let's see if we're able to get this touch here, which would be the bull run VAH here. This would be pretty good here, guys. So this area here at 12.836 might be nice bounce if this misses. Okay. We'll look at some random tickers now. Let's look at shop. This one you have to go on weekly first. All right. Well, I think I'll have this on shop for a moment. So here's the volume profile still within the value area high, value area low. And then if you guys look at the, even just the value area high and low here, that's 40.62 all the way down to 29.70, which is the low, and then you have the VAL right here. So what most people are going to play, what do you guys think? How are they going to play this?
Break the range.
Yeah, they're going to play the break the range. What I'm telling you is that once it breaks this range, it will come back to that range. Whether it's downside or upside, I would expect, I don't know why they dumped this stock so much. I haven't checked their earnings much, but I mean, you dump them from 83%. I mean, that's not a penny stock, right? I mean, unless they're doing something wrong in their business, I have no idea. But let's see here. Yeah, so if you're able to break this, and if you look at it, right, so for me, the bullish side's going to flip here around 48.80, which is still pretty far away. I would expect another down somewhere around 25, and then it goes up. And you see why we are holding here. So if you just grab volume profile, top to bottom, you guys see why we are holding here? Look at that. This whole bull run, I mean, it does not get better than this, guys. What I'm teaching you is, it's literally, it's gold, man. Look at this. So here's your value area high that we talked about before. Here's your POC. I'm just going to put a little box right around these shelves. Nothing else, nothing more. So a lot of people say, man, they can't do that, right? I mean, you guys have heard people say, it cannot do that. The stock will not do that. Well, look what happened here. It went from $30 all the way to $176, and then it came back to $30. So this level here, flip what you just mentioned there. Remember, there's a guy here, or multiple guys here, or girls. They bought a lot here, guys. They were buying here a lot. So now you brought it back to that level. What do you think they're gonna do?
Buy.
Yeah, they're gonna protect that level, right? And then right below that, you have $20 level. I would not be shocked if they pull off one of those market maker patterns that I showed you guys about before. You break 28, I'm pretty sure you're going to $20, and then from $20, all the good news come up on this. So now we know where the buyers showed up, right? We can see where they are, but if you want to see where the sellers are, so that way you get the full picture. Let's just go till the end here. So even the sellers, majority of the sellers on this run, heaviest volume is here. To me, this is looking more like it's going to be a bull run. So I would not be shocked once we break this range flip that we're going to go much higher. You know, we're on a weekly chart, but once you break this zone here, I would say this 41.31, this thing's going to fly.
Yeah, bro, because over 41.31, there's not much resistance.
Yeah, I mean, the next level would be 63.5. It would literally fly to that level right there.
That sounds like a new Toyota Tundra, bro.
Pretty much. Flip, where you been, man?
I'll round, bro. I don't like playing FOMC, bro. I always get freaking booty clapped. So after, was it Monday? I just took the whole week off.
Oh, that's smart. That's
Now we
out, 41.31. This is, yeah, I mean, that's sharp. That's what I would look for. No reason to trade this crap in between. I mean, even now, if you look at this POC here, what is this? 36.18. If you want to play the break of 36.18, quick retest, and then go long, that's really, really good too. On options, right? If you're buying shares, you want to catch it on the bottom here around 30. If you can scoop some up, I meant to scoop shop shares, but I didn't. I mean, this is pretty crazy run here. And you guys see why I say the $20 is doable on it? And really is doable. I'm looking at this whole run here, and the average price they accumulated at was about $9, $10.
oof.
I mean,
After
if
target,
if market flips and we become red, guys, there's no reason this can't go to $10. They already lost 80% from the top, so another 50% from here to here, definitely doable. I don't see why not. So somewhere around $16.73, $17. So that's pretty crazy, right? All right, AMD, I think they have ER. Let's look at AMD real quick. So AMD did something really, really good last week. All right, AMD. So it looks like a little falling wedge, right? Yeah, channel falling wedge. Obviously, it has a higher high here, 109.57 on the weekly. What you can do on the daily time frames. So we know where the sell-off was, and this is how you want to go up. You want to go run back, and are we due for a pullback? I would probably say yes, we're due for a pullback, and let's just confirm here. So here's this run, and now if you just switch this, my pretty colors, I'm just gonna delete this, and I'll show you. So this here, this run was, this was the previous support here. I would say right here. There was previous support, and now we struggled, and now it looks like a cup and handle, right? At least it does to me. Or inverse head and shoulders, whatever you want to call it. And the next resistance that I see, at least, is somewhere around here, the 99.69. So is there a chance that we're going to go back inside this channel here? Probably, potentially, right? Especially with the ER. It's not something I mess with, but this is a really nice channel that it reclaimed into the 99. And I still think that there's room to go down more before they keep pushing this up. Let's go to this channel here. Because right here, does anyone see what, what could this look like here? Anyone know? You guys are sleeping. We broke the 50. We were not able to get above the 60%. We hit it right on. And now, this previous support is reclaiming support. So if we are able to hold this 89.68, so if you guys look at it on this chart, if you're able to hold this level here, which so far so good, 89.62, you have a higher chance. If you break this 95 level, there's a strong chance that we're going to go to 100 on it. So let's see. And then I just want to show you something on 30 minutes. Where was it? Yep, this one here. So I think I did this one to here. So let's just try it. When I was looking at AMD, yep, it was exactly there. I was looking at AMD and seeing kind of where the potential. Oh, never mind. Sorry, I'm lying to you guys. I lost the orientation. 10 minutes. Let me add session breaks. Session breaks. It was this. It was this, I believe, to this right here. Yep. And that my buy zone was here to here on AMD, with the POC being right here. And look, guys, how that played out. You broke above it, you reject it, and look at this. Beautiful, beautiful run up. And same concept. I mean, you can do this over and over and over and over and over and over every day. So here, if you just grab this run now, I mean, because it had a pretty good run, I would expect that we're going to come back. If we come back to this area of 93, that you could get some support. This trend line here kind of lines up with it as well. So I would expect that we get some kind of support, 93 here to 92 tomorrow. And that might be a nice play, honestly. They might send it down and then we break much higher here. How did Intel do on earnings? Does anyone know? Ooh.
Missed by like 50%.
Holy shit. Well, Intel is in a different, I would say they're in a different landscape than AMD, right? And currently they are. They got a new CEO. They're trying to build this, American way, build American factories and whatnot. I think still going to go down. Is this like all-time low? Oh no. Oh, it hasn't even started falling down. Oh man. Yeah, Intel is in trouble. So this was a breakout level before. So you guys remember from the previous example we just talked about in class. So here's your, this was your support here. Here's your resistance. We broke above it, and now you're watching to see if this holds. If this doesn't hold, you're looking for something like, they come back here, and then once you hit it, you're looking to go short it right here, just support and resistance. And then if you do the volume profile on the sell-off, you'll be looking to, the heavy seller showed up here. So about $20 would be fair, for purchases of shares. This is what I'll be looking to get in. At $20, I'll place an order tomorrow on this. America will not allow Intel to go down. And this was nice. Wow, this is gorgeous. Look at that. Beautiful. So next level on this is going to be 28.41, or call it 28. Yeah, I mean, this has a lot of room to fall. Probably look at some swings on this if they're able to. These lines drive me crazy. So if we able to get a nice little bear flag like we are trying here now. So a little push here, we're very close to it. This might be ready for shorting soon, for swing short. So we came back, retested this. I mean, this might be ready. Well, we need to watch this tomorrow. All right, I guess I had the log. Okay. Let's see what else you guys got.
Check out Target TGT on the weekly.
TGT. Might look like a J hook here. I mean, it has a bear flag. I don't know if you're inclining to go up or down, but it has a bear flag on the weekly.
No, I'm inclining for it to go down.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good for a rejection here. So the way I would play this is this massive sell-off here, and look what we were hitting here. Value area highs right here, so about 165. Probably not a bad idea, to start looking into some puts here at this level. Because when is their earnings? August 17th. Just so amazing. Everything positive on the bull run, of course, and then here comes the bear run. Everything's starting to get mixed. One of the two is red. I would look to get some short puts here because but the only thing is why did they get a beating? Oh, the earnings here. Did they have a sell-off when Walmart sold off?
Yes, sir. I think consumer spending is going down.
So this is a nasty looking candle on Walmart, guys. Holy shit. Do you guys see this pin bar? Wow.
Just looking at it from a macro standpoint, since consumers are spending less, should affect revenue for Walmart, Costco.
No, I agree. I totally agree with you.
But then it
I
might
would look.
might give a boost to like Dollar Tree to the discount stores, because instead of going to Walmart, you can get the same thing for Dollar Tree and Ross and all the other individuals.
Yeah. Oh man, this has room to go to $100, dude. 107. This is a really good area for some shares right here. I think this is what happens on this one flip. I think this is a liquidity zone right here. And I think that, there needs to be some news, but something like that.
Yes, sir. Hell yeah. Talk to me dirty, Shorty. Liquidity, baby.
Yeah, I think this is it here. I mean, first, man, I might swing some puts on the earnings of this.
I'm also looking at sympathy plays for this week's earnings, like AMD's reporting, so like MU, UPS is reporting, so FedEx, yeah, you know the vibes.
Yeah, but this is pretty good here. So if you look, we just talked about this. You guys remember? I'm just gonna bring this. Here's the same exact example right here. Support, support, we're going down, and then becomes resistance. Support, support. Is it not identical? Support, support. Is this not like literally textbook?
Yes, sir.
I mean, you should look into some shorts here. So now here, let's just short. Look at the I meant to do it right here, man. And look what lines up here on the value area low right there. You guys see that?
That skinny belly.
Well, they're going to run it up to here, but then this is your value area low. So if you think about this, this is the same exact setup that I was talking about earlier. That's easy money, always short. So if you get in here, you know, let's say once we approach this level here, you know, that's why I said 65 would be good for puts.
Yeah.
Let it go up to here, and then we would get some puts, and then you would sell these puts somewhere right around here. Where is it? So let it go here, and then you would be looking to sell it right here at like 51.
What ticker is that, Shop?
This is
MU.
MU. Okay.
Holy pin bar, look at QCOM, bro, on the daily.
So this I like this setup. So if somebody can take notice of this and just ping me.
You heard Shorty, QCOM, look at that pin bar or whatever on the daily.
Hold on, I just want to know when this happens. I don't want to miss this.
Nah, we won't miss it, bro.
No, I'll just forget about it. Hold it back. Okay. So this right here is interesting here. I'm trying to think if you're looking longer out, so this one would be applied for swinger trades. Yes, that's correct. So if I'm looking for major swings, right, what we talked about earlier, if I look at the daily chart, for instance, right, so if I'm looking to sell off, Chris, I'm looking for the sell-off here. I'll grab the swing high, swing low here, and I'm able to see where the heaviest seller showed up right here. So for me, you know, it looked like the heaviest seller showed up here. So once you break below it, and you know, you can put your stop loss somewhere right above it. So about $3 stop loss and about $6 reward, right? So a little less than $3. So you would short it here, take your winners right here, and then you went a little bit below that. So you got almost 3-to-1 trade on this here just by looking at day high, and you can swing here. This is a swinging opportunity. It doesn't happen overnight. You see that once you enter this phase here, so let's say you shorted it here on the break of this. It took 1, 2, 3 days to get to your target. So usually you don't want to play zero, you know, weekly DTEs here. You want to play something at least, you know, I prefer monthlies when I'm swinging, but that's just my preference. So I would, you know, get in short here on weeklies, and then you see here where we hit right now value area high of this run here. And the value area run of the whole thing here that we grabbed earlier, right, from top to the bottom. Can even make it a little bit more here. So yeah, it's right here. So I'm looking now to enter short an MU. The charts are going back months, so the puts and calls look will be a long-term swing. Yep. So this one here, I'm not expecting this to happen overnight. So this bull run started July 1st, and it ended. Well, it didn't end yet, but July 30th on MU. So you need, I'll probably on this, if I was to swing, I would be looking at August. I will be looking at October monthly. So I would buy 2 months out, and I would buy probably somewhere around 55 or even 50 puts on, let's say, MU. So hopefully that explains it.
Shorty.
Hmm.
Adventure West is asking if you can check out Starbucks.
From YouTube?
Yeah, from YouTube.
Yeah, well, we'll check it out. So let me
Sure.
finish MU. 65, 64. Yeah, I like this setup for taking short. Somebody said QCOM. Yeah, QCOM has a nice daily here.
You see that pin bar, bro? Is that a pin bar?
No, yeah, definitely a good pin bar, good ratio too. You need it about 146.25 or a little bit more than that. Let me see this POC here. Yeah, it has a POC right at this level here.
And with
Actually, has a VPOC right here at 146.61. So retest long on that. And then if you look at QCOM a little bit, just a bigger picture, right? I mean, this is a could be a nice reversal play on the overall, because this here is your higher high, and we're still not above it, so we haven't closed above it. We made a higher high here at 156, and I think that was news. Like something drove QCOM here. I forgot what. I don't trade it regularly, so. This looks. Oh, but look at the weekly. Yeah, the weekly is telling you a totally different story here. Yeah, there's a very strong supply here. Right here. So you can go along 146, go all the way to 150, and then get out. And then if you're able to break this 156, then you get 170 on QCOM. S-Bucks. No, well, that's a nice reversal here. They accumulated nicely here. So just high level reversal. I don't trade Starbucks much. So if you grab the low, COVID low, which was 50, to the high, you're able to kind of tell quickly where they're trying to go back with this stock, right? So if you look at this cluster here, look for what happened to it. And a lot of people, like I mentioned, will neglect the idea the stock market can do something. In their mind, it can't do certain things. Well, I mean, this stock lost 50% of its value or market cap on this bear run here. So is it normal that it's going to retrace from here? Probably, yeah. I mean, I would expect it to retrace all the way to this value area high, which is about $97. There is news around Starbucks, and I'm telling you this from experience, that they're going to be closing stores down a lot. So usually in a contraction business like that, their profit margins will be hurting for a little bit. So the investors are going to look to sell it off. And then once because I think they overgrew too fast, they did not care for margins, and their processes in the business operations were not that strong based on my personal feedback. So I think they need to scale back. The old CEO is back to CEO role now, and he's the guy that had all the ideas, which is good, and people are really bullish on him. One of my friends at work does know him personally as well, so I think he will do great, but I think we're going to go a little bit back to this zone soon. If we go to 95, this would be a pretty good short. If there's any bad news of closing stores, this would be a really good short here, but you could drive this higher. So just keep in mind, you had this level here. I'm on the weekly level. You had a support, and you have multiple supports here. You had a support here. You had a support here, and now you're approaching that support again. You have a volume shelf here as well. This is where we sold off. If you grab this guy here, you know, this is a really nice shelf even here for rejection, and then a really beautiful one here. If they really want to run it up, they get some crazy news, this is where you would look to short it. It's fairly easy money at this level. So the first level, if the market depends how we react tomorrow and the upcoming days, we're approaching a supply area right here. I would say you're looking for about, you know, $86. There's a potential for rejection, and here you're approaching the support. What we talked about, support becomes resistance, so there's a high chance that this level here, 85.47, is going to act like a resistance now for it. It looks like it might come back to 80.
Yo, Shorty, do you look at past earnings? Like if last week Apple had earnings, you look at Apple this week to see how the market that is gonna digest their earnings report and all that stuff? Or no?
I do. I mean, some of the things in earnings, they don't make sense, right? And they don't make sense for a week, for a day, or even sometimes more. You had companies that had stellar earnings, and yet they got sold off really badly, right? And then you have companies, you know, I didn't think Amazon had great earnings. I didn't think Tesla had great earnings, and they're just going to do, you know, the market doesn't have logic. There's no predetermined moves. But the only thing that you can do is look at the levels that these stocks are approaching and play the levels from there. I don't know how they're going to react to Apple earnings tomorrow. I can't predict whether they're going to sell it off. But what I can tell is that Apple's approaching a value area high of the whole sell-off, and I'm pretty certain that this shelf, if this doesn't stop it, that this shelf will stop Apple right here and track, like literally, like it'll stop it quickly. I mean, it retraced nicely. Apple had a really nice retracement here. I mean, it went over 60 for 61.8 here, which is pretty powerful. Okay. Anyone else?
Don't be shy. Don't be shy.
Tesla.
I was waiting for somebody. Tessie. Heading top of the channel, hitting a major supply. Let's see, so that's the whole runoff here. I mean, psychological 900 numbers in play. Let me see here. So you have this here at 880, which was a pretty important level on Friday if you traded Tesla. Pretty important level. And now you got, I would not be shocked if it does this tomorrow. If it pushes up to this 901, and it's a nice channel here. You could short it on this channel here, or you could wait, you know, for maybe like a lower or low to be made. But this is pretty insane. I haven't seen this many in a while. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen 6 VPOCs on a chart. But every single one is a VPOC, guys.
And Shorty, I was saying about the past earnings because the algos are bearish.
How do you figure that they're bearish?
I got you, my guy. Yeah, here you go. T, algo, flow, divergence, 5. So the algo flow div is basically a divergence that price is diverging from where the algo is saying that price should be heading.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, no, I agree with you, but man, this I'm looking at SPY chart.
Yeah,
I have not seen something like this in a while, guys. I mean, I probably haven't seen this ever. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 epochs. Somebody's gonna be crying soon. It won't be me, but my orders are 400 for SPY, 440. And if they want to push this, they can go here. So they want to make this really a bad squeeze for shorts. You want to enter here somewhere in this level, or we're going to enter in here tomorrow, depending on how we open. This is a nasty looking bearish chart on ES, but be my guess. I'd rather wait for it, to hit these levels and get some confirmation. Because if we able to break that 930, there's a, you see the little skinny belly here. It goes all the way to this level here, 974. So you have 50, call it $50 here in between. They will literally just pop. I don't know. I don't know if the bears are going to allow that. Usually these levels are heavily protected where the gaps start on the volume profile. You see here, trap. So I think 928 is doable, but then that might be not a bad entry considering the number of epochs you have below. This is pretty wild.
If you're trying to do SPY puts for August 19th, which is a monthly, would you go 400, 395, or 390?
August 19 would be 3 weeks away. I would probably do 4 or 5.
Yeah, because that's a monthly expiry, so
Yeah.
they look juicy as fuck.
Yep. So let's look at ES one more time before. And nothing happened since we've been on this call, guys. Literally nothing happened.
Oh, wait, we came down? Just noticing that.
Yeah, we had a nice little dump all the way from 41.40 to 41.20, and then we've done nothing. Yes, I'm in September. Yeah, I already had those for September. All right, guys. Well, I think that's it for me. I keep yawning. We'll do more sessions on volume profile. Well, obviously, I trade live with these, but just remember, these are your bread and butter. All right, guys. Have a good night. Hopefully, you guys picked up some new knowledge, and we'll reiterate it as we go forward.
Thanks, Shorty.
See you, brother.
All right, bye, guys.